Yeah, when you're feeling down and motivated in the midweek, we got the guys here to make your life complete. Little John, Brandon, Cody, Carly, they're coming in to keep you motivated all week. New episode, same time every week. Don't gotta wait long for the next one to release. So don't go away, sit down, take a seat, enjoy Midweek Motivation with John and Carly. Hey.
Midweek Motivation.
Let's go! Okay, ready? Wait for it. Ready? Hey, and we're live. Look at that. Hey, welcome everybody to another week of Midweek Motivation, real conversations with real people about a very real God. I have some very real people, at least they appear to be real. Unless you believe Elon Musk and we're living in a simulation, none of us are really real anyways, so that's okay too. But we're going to assume that they're real people. They look like real people to me. I know one of them is real because I've known him his entire life. I'll let you figure out who's who. But this is our, if you can't read, and if you can't tell from, the giant logo behind me, this is our annual, now it's become annual, right? Because this is the second year we've done this. This is our second annual NTS recap episode, and really what we want to do is we want to take some time and we just wanted to recap a little bit from what you guys experienced at camp, what you saw, maybe some of the good, the bad, the ugly. Hopefully not too much ugly or too much bad. Hopefully it's mostly good. Let's hope for that. Should be mostly good. But just we want to share some of the stories, some things that God did in your hearts, because camp has always been one of the most life-changing experiences in the church. Sorry, I'm going to do like three things at once right now. Hey, that's working. Good. Hey, if you're out there watching us in the chat, make sure you drop a like or a comment, preferably a comment, because we'd love for you to just celebrate with some of these students, some of the things that are happening. If you have a funny camp story that you want to drop in the comments as well, we'd love for you to do that, whether you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube or on our app, all over the place. Lots of places to watch this show. So I know you guys always watch it every single day, especially while you're in school, right? Yeah, cool. Sorry, we won't tell your teachers. But we just want to take some time. We want to hear some of you guys' stories, a little bit about what camp is about. Like I told you before, this is a really professional operation, so make sure you don't give us any of the silly things that happened at camp or anything like that, right? So we want all the serious things, right? So first, I want to start off. I'm going to introduce a couple of people that you people should know if you watch the show at all, but maybe you don't. I'll let you students introduce yourselves here in a little bit. But two of my favorite youth pastors I've ever met in my life are on this stage in front of me. They have the privilege of being responsible for. Well, John doesn't yet, but John will get my kids soon. But Austin has the privilege right here in front of me of discipling four of my four kids. Which would be all of them if you're counting keeping track at home. 4 of 4 equals all, right? I wasn't a math major. Thank you. I appreciate that math. That's good. Appreciate the support. It makes me feel special. But Austin Odell, the youth pastor extraordinaire, youth pastor, children's pastor, preteen pastor, probably some other things. I'm sure we'll add things to your title. As time goes, we're just going to keep on adding things.
He's probably done everything around here at least once.
I think he has. I'll tell you what, I'm going to brag on him too. He got called in we just redid our stage, and you guys are actually the first ones to ever see it. How about that? How cool is that? Like public facing at least. So you get an exclusive look at our new stage design. And Austin has this privilege and curse a little bit, depending on the task of knowing pretty much everything about the building and about the organization. So Austin gets a lot of random questions. Hopefully you don't mind that. Hopefully you enjoy that.
It adds spontaneity to the day. So.
Yeah, well, that's always good. So it's always, you never know what's going to happen, right? It makes life a little more fun. That's probably a good thing. And then right behind him, it's been a minute. It's been, but like a midweek OG, like OG 2.0 at least. High school pastor.
Wednesdays are busy for me now.
Well, I don't know. It's like you guys do stuff on Wednesday nights. You guys are just youth pastors. You only work on Sundays, right?
Maybe 2 days a week.
Right, and then you just play disc golf the rest of the week. Isn't that a thing? There's actually more truth to that than at least the disc golf thing. There's more truth to that than we always want to admit. But John Spencer, high school and college pastor extraordinaire, sitting right behind him. And I promise there are female students at a part of our student ministry, and we did take female students to camp, right?
Actually, more females than males.
Right. So the sample you see in front of you is not representative of the students we took to camp, but these are the ones that are available and or not sick at the moment. So this is what we get. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good conversation, some good stories and things. But if you're not already a part of our group, you can see the number right there below me. You can text the word motivate to 540-900-3838, and that'll put you a part of our group. You guys can do that all right now if you want to, but then my phone will start blowing up and like people added to the group. But you can get in that group, get to be a part of it. You'll get a little bit of motivation, all that good stuff. Benny, Michelle, I feel like I missed you guys the past couple weeks. Maybe I think they were on vacation, enjoying the sunshine and the sand, which I feel like is where everybody has been for the past like couple of months. Right? Which is where we get to go here next week. It's going to be great. But anyways, if you're not a part of our group, you can text that number and be a part. I guess it's kind of see you. I don't know if it counts as seeing you, but let's get right into it. I'll have you guys just go down the line and just introduce yourself. Austin and John, we already know you people. We can skip you. But go ahead, just say your name and describe your favorite pair of socks. So we're going to start right here with this kid in the yellow shirt. You got to hold that mic up nice and high.
My name is Hudson, and my favorite socks are any sock I can find.
Yeah. It's a tougher order than taller order than you think sometimes, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do they have to match or just any sock you can find?
Any sock I can find.
Yeah, any sock you can find is probably good.
Even if it's your brother's
My
socks.
socks match today.
Your socks match today?
Oh, look at you go.
So
First
proud.
time for
Your mother would be
everything.
so proud. All right, let's move on down the line right over here.
Hi, I'm Josh, and hi, Mom. I'm on TV. My favorite pair of socks are my high Nike socks that go up right here. I'll pass it on.
Nice.
Hello, my name's Caleb, and my favorite socks are definitely white Nike Crew. I wear them almost every day. Not these pair, but I do wear them every day.
Not those white Nikes.
No.
A different pair of white Nike socks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. That's all good. All right, let's go back up here.
My name is Hannah, and I have the same favorite pair kind of socks as Caleb does. Those socks are goated, and they're the best.
My name is Levi, and I just like clean socks, I guess.
Clean socks are
Yes.
good.
Clean socks that match.
All right, John and Austin, since I skipped you guys, do you guys have a favorite pair of socks?
Oh, my favorite pair of socks. Now I just wear like no-show Adidas socks every single day, so probably those. But in high school, I had a pair of like breast cancer awareness pink Nike Elite socks. So those are pretty cool. I'd wear them on a regular basis, and I had pink shoes to go with them. So that has to be my favorite.
Do you still have the pink shoes?
I don't have the pink shoes. I do have the socks.
Those might need to make a comeback.
Maybe I need to wear the socks or something sometime.
Yeah, we might need that.
And then I have a pair of Eeyore socks with the tail on the back. That when I walk, it just kind of flaps in the wind. So that's got to be my favorite pair.
That's pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah, Courtney's in the chat. She's agreeing. Socks are a nightmare in our house. Says, so our younger kids have given up having matching socks, which I'm kind of okay with. So that doesn't bother me at all. All right, so now we know who you are. Let's hear a little bit about camp. And I'm not going to call on you guys. You guys just feel free to just jump in whenever. I'm just going to throw out a couple questions. I want to hear some stories. But let's start with this. So what was the craziest thing that you saw happen at camp this year? Could be something fun. It's probably something fun. Could be something weird. What was the weirdest or craziest thing that you saw happen at camp this year?
Honestly, I would have to say when it rained during team comps. In my 4 years of going, it has never rained at camp, like while we've been outside. And so they had everybody go to the gym, which is across campus. We'd walk all the way there, and it stopped raining while we were walking on the way there. And then we just did the gym for like 5 minutes, and then we were all wet from the rain, and then we had to go back outside.
It was so terrible.
It was so terrible. All right, so how hot was it at camp this past week?
It was pretty
1,000
hot.
degrees.
95 degrees
High
on
90s.
average.
High 90s. Pretty hot.
Definitely
Nice.
1,000.
Well, it was nice and hot while you guys were gone, but you guys had a different kind of heat. Funny story. So I was walking through preschool the week after you guys last week when you guys got back. I was talking to Audrey, and it's like she was sitting like in the shade on the playground, like shivering, like she's cold. I said, Audrey, it's 80 degrees. Like, how are you cold right now? She's like, I can't. I'm just too used to that South Carolina heat. Because that South Carolina heat, right? If you've never been to South Carolina in the summer, it's something different.
Don't go.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Not that we have anything against South Carolina, right? Much love to South Carolina. Love to Carly. He's from South Carolina. But we don't hold that too much against him.
If you're at the beach, it's okay. But it's when you don't have a body of water to jump into,
Right.
it can be really hot.
Yeah, something about that definitely makes a difference. All right, so it did rain, right? I don't know that it ever really rains at camp, especially when you want it to, right, to cool things down. Like, I'm a little disappointed they made you guys go inside because that could have made the game like way more dangerous, right? That would have been
The
fun.
game inside, we just like sat in there for like 5 minutes and then just went out.
It was mainly because of the lightning. I think the rain was okay.
Lightning, psh, come on. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, other than like turning you into popcorn. But things happen. It's okay. All right, what else? What's something else that you saw that was crazy at camp?
I saw a dude with like leopard print Dennis Rodman hair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was that dude. He was wild, man. He was walking around like star sunglasses and all that.
Yeah. We need to touch on this and talk about this a little bit. Camp. There's something about it, and I don't know why. I don't know what created this atmosphere of just the weirdest, craziest costumes and clothing you could ever wear. Like, it's Dennis Rodman's a good way to put it. It's like everybody dresses like Dennis Rodman at camp. So you guys were the gold team, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. And I realized my colors were not great. I had a great idea, and then I'm just now realizing. Yeah, I'm just now realizing how rude that was. That was not my intent. Okay, I'm not trying to rub it in. I am a little salty
That
about
actually hurts, man.
it. Yeah.
Like deep down inside, I'm crying.
We thought we won, but we lost by 250 points.
Okay, well let's go there. Let's go here. Since we're here, let's talk about the elephant in the room that I'm apparently pressing on the open wound. Okay.
I have
So
a lot to say.
You have a lot to
I have
say.
ton to say, man.
Absolutely
I've
wrong.
been keeping this like bottled up for someone to listen. 'Cause
Okay,
I'm ready
so
to
let
complain.
me just for everybody that doesn't know, okay, for those of you that are listening that don't know, every year at NTS there's 4 teams, right? There are 4 different color-coded teams, and massive team competition throughout the whole week, right? Everything you do, you earn points. There's a team cheer, there's team competitions, everything, right? All this stuff. There's participation, right? Like how well your team participates, how well everybody wears the team colors and everything. Everything counts, right? And you earn points, and then at the end of the week, and there's the talent show, right? Which we killed, by the way. There's a video on Facebook that you need to find. Maybe we can share it. We probably can at some point. I'll talk to the guy.
I can recreate it.
Huh?
I can recreate
I
it.
want to see
Ooh.
Be
So
Elsa Anna on it?
there is a. You might need to. Yes, John Brunk. I know they sign waivers for a reason. That'd be funny. But yeah, so massive team competition, right? So y'all are the gold team, right? As evidenced by some of the gold. I'm a little disappointed there's not more gold. It's true. All your gold stuff's still
Austin,
dirty.
why is that blue?
Black, bro. Hey, the slide, it's all blue.
Caleb, why is
We gotta
that
change
red?
that.
For attention.
Yeah, but you're ahead all week, right? And then it comes down to the final day, right? And then Josh, what happens?
We sell the cheer.
Last place, 0 points.
You sold the cheer.
We got dead last on the cheer.
Right? So what do you think went into that? What
Our
caused
cheer
that?
sucked anyways.
No shade to who created it.
Compared to the other teams, they were some more creative.
But
Ours was good, but it
Those
was
dudes
just
were
not as
hitting like
creative.
backflips and stuff, man.
Yeah,
fair,
they
in
were
the
throwing
past,
people in the air.
We've done the same thing that the other teams have done in their cheer. Like green and red, we did the exact same thing they did last year, which is dance the whole time. We
Right.
just danced to random music the whole time. And we came in last year, too. So we were like, well, maybe we should change it up a little bit and do a theme. And then we come in last again. And the part that makes me the most mad is red never one time in their entire cheer said red. You're the red team, and you don't say red about your team the entire time. And they beat us in the cheer. Like, what?
What was it? Blue, red, green, and then us? Or what?
And red.
Yeah.
Then gold.
Unfortunately, dead last, right? Dominated every other aspect of the game, of the
Exactly.
competition, right? Now, I'm sure there's some conspiracy theories out there, right?
Plenty.
I favor the blue team.
And how close was the margin?
250 points we lost. Because
250
they got like 10,000 overnight for one stupid cheer.
points. Has Cassidy gotten over it yet? I'm a little worried about her most of all.
She's
Maybe.
going to fight.
And
I want NTS, I'm speaking to you, to release the number of points that things are worth so we avoid conspiracy theories moving forward.
That's right. Jeff, if you're listening, I'm sure you watch it each and every week because, we go way back. Jeff, if you're watching, the people are demanding a right accounting of the numbers, right? We are demanding a recount, not unlike we asked for in 2000. So please, Jeff, we implore you on behalf of Parkway Church, release the numbers so that you can be above reproach, right?
It's scripted
How
more
many
than the
years ago?
NFL. I swear, bro.
Scripted more than
I
the
swear,
NFL.
bro.
How many years ago was 2000?
24.
And how old were you?
I was younger, much younger, back in the day. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, right, healing will come, right? And I hope that just fuels the fire for you guys for next year, right? What are some other crazy things, crazy, silly, funny things that you guys saw happen at camp?
I would say like all of the middle schoolers trying to like find dates and stuff. That was pretty interesting to watch.
I mean, it is really fun watching middle schoolers at camp. That
Some
is
of
what
them
it
are
is.
mean.
There's only a couple of you middle schoolers here. Well, were any middle schoolers participating in that?
And what?
Were there any camp romances that
Yes.
showed up? Yeah. Did they die like Thursday?
Most likely.
It wouldn't be camp without a little middle school camp romance, right? But that's just the way it is. So, all right. So tell me something. I know, obviously, NTS stands for Never the Same. I guess not obviously if you didn't know that. NTS stands for Never the Same if you didn't know that. But somebody give me a little bit of rundown of what was kind of the spiritual atmosphere. What was kind of the things that your impression of it, of the spiritual atmosphere at camp? This, I guess, not last week. Last week? Was it? That was last week. Good heavens, that was last week. It's been a long week already. Give me kind of your impression of the spiritual atmosphere, kind of things, maybe some of the overall general spiritual atmosphere at camp.
The spiritual atmosphere, it was mostly about love and how to accept love from God and others and how to show love unconditionally as God loves us unconditionally.
Yeah, that's awesome. Somebody else.
Like all the worship and stuff was like really, really like moving.
Yeah.
I would say everybody in the room is like together. You're worshiping, you're praying, you're doing everything together. So you're all, getting closer to God together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think is, because so I'm old, like Hudson said. I'm old. I've been around a minute. There's always there's something different about camp, right? So most of us, like, we come to church every week. We'll come on Wednesday night. We worship. We pray. We hear sermons and things. There's always something different, right? Now, you guys got the privilege of listening to Jeff Eckert all week long. Jeff is one of the most phenomenal pastors and speakers that I've ever met and heard. But there's always good speakers at camp. But I'm a little biased. I think we got some of the best speakers around right here each and every week. So what do you think it is, what's different about camp, right, that causes so many people to respond differently, right? Like we just talked about that spiritual atmosphere, right? It's not that it doesn't exist here, but we experience it differently at camp, right? So what do you think causes that?
I think it's just like that you're in a different like atmosphere. Like you're somewhere specifically to focus on God for a couple days. So like you don't have any like I mean obviously you have your phone, but you don't have the distractions like you typically do at home. So you can take more time to really lock into the message and focus, I guess.
Yeah, there's something. Do you guys have distractions in your life? No way. What are you? You guys are teenagers. You can't have distractions in your life. There's no shot. You wouldn't have anything distracting in your life, right? Caleb, what do you think?
I would say it's different because when you're here, you go to church on Sunday, and then after that until the next Sunday, you're not like having like that pressure on you to read your Bible and talk to God and whatnot. But when you're at camp, like there's those moments where we have to do those things, and I feel like that just like sets like a consistency in you, and it leaves you vulnerable to the Word of God, and it just allows you to experience the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think you guys are hitting it right on the head. I mean, it's one of those things like you just get stuck in this routine so often, right? Especially for those of us that spend a lot of time at church. Like some of us are at church. Well, I don't know. If you're Phillips, you've been in church like basically every day of your life. I feel like. But that's just the way it is, and you get stuck in this routine, and it's so often we rage against routine as a bad thing. Routine is a good thing. Like being in church every Sunday and Wednesday is a good routine, but even still, like that routine can get old, and we can get kind of numb to it, right? So I think you guys are hitting it right on the head. So go ahead, Josh.
So there was this thing we did. It was called Academy. We would take one every day, and me and a couple of guys went to one that was Jeff was speaking, and it was 11 Ways to Be a Courageous Man. And one of the things he was talking about was routine of going to church every week. So he was talking about that church isn't, for you, it's for God. He was talking about like the routine is good, and it will make your relationship so much better.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I get up every morning and I brush my teeth. Like, it's boring, but it's good. It's a good and important thing, right? Same kind of thing. Like when we start to neglect the routine and the simple things of following Jesus, right? Our relationship starts to suffer. Just like if you neglect that routine of brushing your teeth, like your teeth start to suffer, right? It starts to degrade. And they fall out of your head, and then you get to have really cool wooden dentures like a former president. Drop it in the chat if you know who that is. Well, you can't say it. It'll give it away. We'll ruin everything.
I think they said this to the leaders. Austin, if you remember the exact quote, you jump in. But they said the big thing about camp is like the change of place and the change of pace, and how like you change the place, so we get away from the church here, and you change your pace, and so that changed the rhythm basically that you are in every single day, and that opens your eyes to see like allow God to move in your heart and move in your life, and hopefully then when you come back to the same place you were at, you install or put into your life new paces, new pace to your life, and hopefully that's more run by God and not run by us.
Yeah. I want to hear some stories. Maybe be as specific as you want to. We're not going to like delve deep into your personal life, right? So only share what you want to share. But I'm curious if you guys have any stories or like a specific experience or something that maybe God spoke to you, whether audibly or just something you just felt moved in your spirit, something you experienced at camp spiritually. Does anybody have one of those stories you want to share?
There was one night, we call it Cry Night every year, just because I think it's one of those nights where like the Spirit is like the most present, and that's when he gives the message about rededicating your life and giving your life to God for the first time, and I think that's just one of my favorite nights of the week that I like the most. And then the night after that, he talked about being called to ministry, maybe something like that. I don't know. And then he extended an invitation for people who felt called to ministry. And there was, John, 16 people from Parkland?
Yeah, 16.
Yeah, 16. And
That's
I was
awesome.
one of the 16.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what maybe between you guys, John and Austin, if you can jump in, just give us kind of overview of maybe some numbers that we have of some of the decisions that were made at camp between our middle school and our high schoolers.
How about you do middle school? You do middle school because I think I combined the numbers when I gave them on Sunday, so I'm going to get them jumbled in my brain.
Not to put you guys on the spot.
That's okay. So it was a great privilege. You spend the whole week praying by name for your students who go, and you spend the entire week before and really the month before studying and preparing, and so you kind of go with a heart of expectation for God to move, and so it's really rewarding and beautiful to kind of see that happen and to see Him move, and then to also tell your students, like, we've been praying for you, but I know that you've been praying for everyone else, and they get to also watch those students walk forward. And so thankfully in middle school, we had 16 recommitments to Christ, and those recommitments also come with a commitment to either read their Bible or commit to they issued a challenge to students to kind of read Proverbs 1 a day for 31 days. And so that's what the recommitment came with, was a action step for them to move forward. Another one was 5 of those students were called to a type of ministry service, whether it be missions or full-time here at the church, or whether it be bivocational. It was kind of just an open invitation to, do you feel God's pulling your heart towards doing this full-time? So, and I think he explained it so well that ministry is something that everyone is called to do, but some of you are called to be in the church, and some of you are called to be a part of it. And he was saying that this was specifically for those who are called to be in it. One of them was called something called CYC, or Claim Your Campus, which is a student-led prayer meeting group that begins through an app on their phone called Claim Your Campus, and it's something that that he was wanting to start at his school, and so we were super excited to do that with him. So that was some of the statistics from the middle school side of the pie. So
That's awesome. And I just want to clarify. So I like numbers. I'm a big fan of statistics, right? In church, we're big fans of numbers, especially attendance and stuff like that. And there's a reason. It's not just so that we can brag, about what happens. But each of those 16 students you talked about, and those 5 students that accepted a call to ministry, like, those are people. Those are lives that were changed and impacted, right? So, we took, 66? Yeah, we sent 66 total students to camp, right? And we don't count those numbers just as I know you guys don't. We don't count those numbers just like a hey, pat on the back to John and Austin for getting 66 kids to go to camp. That's 66 students who had an experience not only with God but with other students, right? Who are going to now then, because of that experience at camp, are going to impact the world for Christ, right? So I just want you to understand, we're not just throwing these numbers out just to sound impressive, like, look at our church, way to go, look what we're doing. But like, these are students, that's 16 students, like just middle schoolers, right, that made a decision for Christ. So those numbers are important because each of those numbers are people. So I just want to clarify that. And John, what was it like in high school?
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off what you just said, before I give the numbers, I think it's important for me too, because I like to thank God specifically for what he gives us. And
Yeah.
so I like numbers because I can see like, oh, wow, we took 30-some students last year, and this year we took 66 students, and I can thank God for the large increase that he's giving us, and also praying for even more to come, because we know that each student represents a soul that is either one for Jesus or needs to be one for Jesus.
Yeah.
And so I would say that just a few of the numbers from high school is we had 17 recommit, just like Austin was talking about, whether it's a recommitment in their faith or a recommitment of they want to get back into reading the Bible, or maybe they lacked in their prayer life or whatever, and they want to recommit to doing that this year. And then we had 11 of our high school students kind of since that call into ministry, which was really cool, because that was something I was really praying for going into camp. I knew the majority of our students that we took, like, I had either seen them get saved or I know through conversations that they were saved. And so I was just praying that God would call some of them into full-time ministry. And then we also had 2 students accept Jesus for the first time this past week, and that was really cool. One of them, if you were here on Sunday, you heard the story about Maggie, someone that we've been praying for months. And then another one of them was a guy I had never met going into camp, and I didn't know where he stood with Jesus, so I was just like, hey, Lord, if he doesn't know you, like, would you open his eyes and open his heart this week? And he checked that on his card at the end of the week that he got saved. So that was pretty
awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
And those are the stories. This is why we do camp.
Yeah.
This is why we feel that camp is such an important thing, right?
Yeah.
Man, that's good. That's good stuff. I'm a little jealous I didn't get to go this year now. I'm not jealous of the weather that I didn't get to experience, because I got to do that here. You know, I slept in a bed full of air conditioning. Although I will clarify, okay, I love NTS. But maybe this is just me showing my age. I miss the old days of camp, where you had to sleep in a cabin, right? And there's no such thing as air conditioning.
I don't.
You guys have never really experienced
'Cause you're
that,
old.
right?
Glad I haven't.
Right? Well, yeah, some Phillips. It's great. It's wonderful, right? So I'm just going to be the old guy. Wow, I really am the old guy in the room.
So
Wow.
old.
That's okay. All right, let's have some other stories. What else? What else did you guys experience? Maybe spiritual. Is there any other stories or anything that you experienced that you want to share?
Last year was my first year that I went, and I already know somebody else is probably going to talk about this, but like one thing you definitely experience is like a camp high, sort of, is like you get into that rhythm of reading and praying, and you want to like take that home. So I did that, and it surprisingly lasted for months. Like, you know, I read and I prayed every day, and then that kind of dwindled out like around January. And then, like, leading up to the summer, you know, I was feeling conviction about not reading my Bible or praying. I was still coming to church every Sunday, serving, coming to youth on Wednesdays. But, like, I just couldn't get back into that rhythm. And then I was one of the people that rededicated at camp to reading and praying. And now I just feel like I have to, like you were saying, like I have to stick with that routine because routines are important. Mm-hmm. So now I find time in my mornings before I either go to work or go anywhere else to read my Bible and pray.
Yeah, that's awesome. What else? Tell me some more stories. I need to go, so you guys got to tell me all the stories.
So on Cry Night, you know, me and a couple of guys, we were like, okay, let's go rededicate ourselves, because obviously nobody's perfect. Everybody sins, and a lot of us felt that we weren't where we should be with God. And so I walk up there, and I'm like a couple steps away from where you pray and you would rededicate yourself, and the worship's going on, and this guy I've never met comes right up next to me, and we're singing, and I don't even notice him right next to me, but we're both singing. We both have our hands in the air. And then he comes over and puts his arm around me. And I don't think twice about it. I go and put my arm right around him. And we start singing together and praising together. And I'm be honest, I cried a little bit with him. And so I'm crying, I'm praying, I'm singing. And then I went and rededicated myself. So
That's awesome.
I thought it was special that somebody I've never met comes over, puts his arm around me, and starts praising with me. I've never experienced anything like that before.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's one of those things about camp is nobody's a stranger at camp, right? And I think NTS does that so beautifully too. This isn't a commercial for NTS, but Jeff, if you need one, let me know. It's NTS does that so well. They do such a good job of fostering that community and creating specific spaces for you, right? So if you've never been to NTS, I'll give you kind of a rundown format, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a couple of years, but so you've got your team comps, right? That happens kind of in the afternoon, right at the hottest part of the day, right? That's always the best part. Right when the sun is directly overhead, right after you've eaten, right? But we've got worship in the evenings, and then there's time for we've got a message, and then we've got time for some small group times, right? And I think those small group times are the ones that tend to be probably the most underrated, right? And I think the most work happens there. So tell me a little bit about some of the conversations you got. Obviously, not don't be too personal, right? Especially if they're private conversations from other people that are here. But give me an idea, or let us know a little bit of what kind of happened in those small group times. What did you experience during those times?
So we have a little booklet that we get at the beginning of the week, and there's a page in the booklet that has questions for specifically small groups, and the leader will ask the question, and then sometimes everybody will speak up, sometimes only a couple people will, but there's questions that go along kind of with the message. Mm-hmm. And so we'll just answer questions, and then sometimes that leads to another conversation or whatever,
That's cool.
I know in the high school boys small group, it was a lot about not being afraid to admit your sin and finding unity in one another, and just knowing that most sins that say I've committed, other people have too, and it's just about knowing that you weren't alone in that, and that you had other people to rely on and relate to.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too. Is so you're those small groups. Those are happening, with people that most of you see probably every week, right? I mean, this is youth group time. These are people that you see every Sunday and every Wednesday, and I have small group with. And what's interesting is I would venture to guess that you probably learn some things at camp about people that you see every week, right? So I'll just put this call out to you. If you're watching right now, there are people that you see each and every week that are going through stuff. Maybe it's people in your family, people that what's going on in their life. But have you taken the time to really intentionally, right, try to understand them, right, get into their world and have real deep conversations with them, right? And I think that's one of the things that happens for you at camp is we have this time. We're not doing anything else. We're going to sit and we're going to talk, right? We're going to be vulnerable, right? And that's what that small group time really is. So if you're let's do two things. So one, if you're out there, you're thinking, I didn't send my kid to camp, or I want to have you guys talk to the parents that said that maybe couldn't send their kid to camp because it was too expensive, or they didn't have time in their schedule, and all those things, right? Those are all legitimate things, right? So I don't want to discount those things. But if you were talking to somebody who, maybe start with students, and then we'll go with John and Austin. But if you're talking to somebody and they're kind of on the fence about going to camp for one reason or another, what's one reason you would give them that they should go to camp, regardless of whatever reason they've got to not go?
When I first went to camp, when I heard about camp, I thought it'll be fun, be with friends. I didn't really think I was going to come back never the same, but I did. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that it actually changes you. It's an actual, spiritual, your whole mindset and relationship with God completely shifts. So I just think that, it's one of the best places to go if you really want to get into a deeper relationship with God.
Yeah, it felt really personal, and everyone, it felt so much different than just normal youth group. especially in like the small groups and whatever, because everybody was speaking on a more personal level, and yeah.
I would say it's a good place to go for relationships, not just with God, but with like other people around you. And you can, like I was saying earlier, you can sort of find that commonality with one another that builds a relationship. Yeah. And then you have people to rely on and just like keep you accountable.
Yeah. All right, let's hear from the youth pastors. This is your soapbox, youth pastor. This is why you should send your student to camp, right? And I'm going to get out of the way and not project on you guys all of my frustration about it. But yes, good. Not that you guys are frustrated. I was a frustrated youth pastor with why people don't go to camp. In case you didn't know, that I was really frustrated with why people say camp. I don't have time to go to camp, or camp is too expensive, even though their kid plays travel baseball, for 14 years and can't pitch at all, right? No shade, but that's
rough,
me.
Man.
I'm not saying
that's a
you
little
guys
harsh.
feel that way, just so we're clear. These guys are much better youth pastors than I ever was, right? And better people. But you're youth pastors. Why should people send their kids to camp? What makes a difference?
Oh, man. I mean, I know it's expensive, and I know money's a hindrance, but I would say that, like, it's worth the money. Like, seriously, not even from the aspect of, like, what they give you at camp, not even because they give you a 5-course meal or you have like the best like living situations or whatever. I mean, to be honest, you're eating camp food like chicken patties and stuff like that. But I would say that the money's worth it solely because of the relationships that are developed, not only with students but also with the leaders there. I mean, they say this statistic every year, but I think it's like the amount of time you'll spend with your students as leaders at NTS camp is the amount of time you'll spend the rest of the year with them based on like 2 hours a week at a ministry night or something. And so I would just say, like, it's worth it to like plan your vacation around. It's worth it to plan sports around. It's worth it to like save the money throughout the year to send your kid, because I just think like we do our best to like have all the students fit in on a Wednesday night, to come here to connect to somebody, to connect to another student. But there's relationships that were built at camp that like will never be broken, and they'll be tight for the rest of their lives, even because of the week that they spend at NTS, and that can't be replicated here. As much as we try and create an environment for that, it's just the relationships that you build are never going to be replicated here at home because of the vulnerability and the amount of time you spend. So I would just say from the relationship side, it's 100% worth it.
Yeah, and to kind of add to that as well, the NTS camp staff who runs that camp in South Carolina, they actually spend from April all the way to camp praying by name for every student, every leader who goes. And so because of that, like when your student goes to camp, or when we as leaders go to camp, like the atmosphere is set and it's ready with expectation. It's ready to see God move, and it's ready to watch him work. But also there's so many opportunities that kind of get you out of the normal day-to-day, where like you do have the opportunity to connect relationally with individuals that you probably normally wouldn't, whether it be because of the school that you attend or because of the lack of time that's able to be spent here at church from time to time. And plus two, like there's that 7-hour bus ride where you're sitting next to somebody for that long, right? And so there's so many moments where not only do you encounter God, but you encounter other individuals from other churches, from different walks of life. NTS has 23% of the entire camp gets to participate in some type of on-stage activity. There's a lot of activities where everyone plays. The games are not athletic-based, they're really skill-based, so it's nice because everyone gets to participate and add value to it. And it's honestly, they do a fantastic job at really creating an atmosphere where everybody gets to not only participate, but feel valued and loved and cared for. And as a leader, it's one of my favorite times of the year because I get to spend that amount of time with the students where it's just talking to them about what's going on. And honestly, too, like the follow-up when we get back. Like, what are you still doing? How are you still connecting with God? How are you going to use what happened at camp and really use that to kind of propel you forward, too, as well. So,
yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're about out of time, but thank you guys for sharing your stories, sharing a little bit. John, Austin, thank you guys especially for what you do. I don't say it lightly. You guys are two of my favorite youth pastors ever, probably top two. I'll say that because I'm way down the list. It'd be really bad if I put myself at the top. That'd be bad. But I don't think you could do that. It seems wrong.
Can we get a top 10 list?
I mean, John and Austin are tied for one, so that's all that matters. But hey, thanks so much for joining us. I hope these stories have been encouraging. Share this with somebody, and continue to pray for these students, the ones that are here and then the ones that were also part of camp. So thanks so much for joining us. Have a great week and stay motivated.